Have you ever wondered why the golden arches of McDonald's can make a child smile from miles away? Or why the swoosh of Nike feels less like a shoe brand and more like a spiritual mantra? What if I told you these logos are not just clever designs but modern-day sigils? Occult symbols engineered to bypass your conscious mind and whisper directly to your subconscious. This is not graphic design. This is not advertising. This is sorcery hiding in plain sight. Since the dawn of civilization, symbols have been the secret alphabet of power. Ancient shamans carved them into stones, Egyptian priests painted them on temple walls, and alchemists etched them into their secret manuscripts. Symbols were never meant to be decorations. They were weapons of influence, talismans that shaped perception, emotion, and belief. And today their descendants glow on billboards, flicker on your phone screens, and gleam on every product you buy. The question is, are you choosing or are you being chosen? In this documentary, we'll decode the hidden language of corporate logos. We'll uncover how brands embed archetypes into your psyche, how ancient sigil-making techniques were quietly reborn in the age of advertising, and why you can no longer look at a logo without feeling its spell. But beware, once you see it, you can't unsee it. Welcome to Esoteric Glyph, where the veil is torn and the hidden architecture of reality is revealed. If you're new here, join us by subscribing, not just to a channel but to a journey of awakening. And if you've been with us for a while, share this video so more seekers can break the trance. Because this isn't entertainment, this is a transmission. A reminder that you were never meant to be a consumer but a creator. Stay with me, because in the next few moments, you'll discover that the logos surrounding you are not accidental designs. They are spells, and you've been under them your entire life. Long before corporations existed, symbols ruled the human imagination. In ancient Mesopotamia, priests carved seals onto clay tablets, not only to mark ownership but to bind energy into matter. The Egyptians carried this further. Hieroglyphs were never mere words, but living forms, each stroke infused with spiritual power. To write was not just to communicate, it was to command reality. In Greece, philosophers like Plato spoke of archetypes, eternal blueprints beyond the physical world that shaped everything we perceive. These archetypes were not just intellectual concepts, but forces vibrating in the collective psyche. When a symbol echoed an archetype, it resonated deep inside the soul, bypassing logic and anchoring itself in emotion. Fast forward to the medieval era. Alchemists and magicians perfected the art of the sigil. A sigil was a symbol created through ritual intention, designed to hide a command within an image. The sorcerer would charge the sigil with willpower, release it into the subconscious, and forget it, allowing the symbol to work invisibly, weaving influence beneath awareness. Now here is the part that history books rarely emphasize. These esoteric practices didn't vanish. They simply changed costumes. As religion suppressed the occult, the knowledge of symbols migrated into secret societies, guilds, and eventually, into the hands of advertisers. The art of persuasion, once hidden in temples and grimoires, found its way into marketing agencies on Madison Avenue. And here lies the forgotten truth. Every logo you see today is a descendant of these ancient practices. The Apple logo is not just a fruit with a bite, it is an echo of forbidden knowledge from Eden. The Starbucks siren is not just a pretty mermaid, she is a sea goddess archetype, enticing the masses with promises of pleasure and comfort. The Mercedes star, the Shell, the Pepsi yin yang swirl, each is more than a brand. They are modern-day talismans, symbols carefully designed to invoke desire, loyalty, and identity. Why has this knowledge been hidden? Because to reveal it would be to shatter the illusion of free will. If people understood that they were not simply choosing products, but unconsciously binding themselves to archetypes, the machinery of consumer society would collapse overnight. The spell only works as long as it remains unseen. This is why you were never taught the real history of symbols. This is why sacred geometry, sigil making, and archetypal psychology are confined to dusty corners of academia or secret lodges. Because once you grasp the power of symbols, you stop being a consumer and start becoming a creator. And that, perhaps, is the most dangerous act of all. Look closely at the world around you. Every street, every product, every glowing screen is littered with logos. They watch you, speak to you, and imprint themselves on your psyche, even when you believe you're ignoring them. But how does this really work? Why do these symbols carry such invisible weight? The answer lies in the same principle magicians have used for centuries: the bypass of the conscious mind. Your logical mind filters, questions, and resists, but your subconscious absorbs without judgment. When you see a logo, simple, clean, and repeated endlessly, it slips past your defenses and lodges itself into the deepest layers of your psyche. You don't memorize it, it memorizes you. This is the first secret. Simplicity equals power. Ancient sigils were always stripped of excess detail, reducing intention into a single potent mark. Today the same principle is at work. Think of Nike's swoosh, a curve so minimal it feels more like a primal gesture than a design. Or McDonald's arches, two golden pillars forming an ancient gateway. These are not just logos. They are condensed archetypes, waiting for your subconscious to decode them. The second secret is association. In occult practice, a sigil is charged with energy through ritual, by focusing thought, emotion, and intention into the symbol. In marketing, the ritual is advertising. Every time you see a logo paired with joy, beauty, success, or power, the symbol absorbs that charge. Over time, the subconscious no longer separates the image from the feeling. The logo becomes the emotion. The third secret is repetition. In magic, repetition builds resonance. In psychology, repetition creates conditioning. And in advertising, repetition ensures that the logo is burned into your neural pathways. You don't need to believe in a brand for it to work on you. Exposure alone is enough. You wake up humming jingles you never wanted to learn, craving foods you never consciously chose, identifying with companies as though they were tribes. And here lies the paradox. You think you are buying products, but the products are buying you. Each time you interact with a logo, you are feeding it attention, belief, and energy, the very currency magicians once called life force. You keep the symbol alive, and in return it shapes you. Most people see logos as harmless art. But what if they are more like psychic software, programs running silently in the background of your mind? Once installed, they don't just sell you shoes or coffee, they sell you identities, roles, and desires. They make you believe you're choosing freely, while guiding you down carefully constructed pathways. And that is the first layer of the secret language of corporate logos. They are not random. They are not harmless. They are modern sigils, designed with precision, charged through ritual, and empowered by your attention. But this is only the surface. Because beneath the clean lines and familiar symbols lies something far older, far stranger, and far more dangerous. If Part 1 revealed how logos operate as simple sigils, Part 2 uncovers their deeper architecture. The archetypes they embody, the myths they recycle, and the hidden paradox they conceal. Take the Apple logo. On the surface, it's just a piece of fruit with a bite taken out. Innocent enough. But peel back the layers and you see echoes of the forbidden fruit of Eden, the archetype of knowledge, temptation, and rebellion against divine order. Buying into Apple is never just about owning a device. Subconsciously, it taps into the primal story of human curiosity, the defiance that led to awakening. Each product becomes less a tool and more a talisman, a promise of empowerment through forbidden wisdom. Or consider Starbucks. Their siren is no random mermaid. She's a two-tailed sea goddess, a symbol that reaches back to ancient myths of seduction, abundance, and danger. The siren's role was never to sell you coffee, it was to lure you in, to bind your loyalty through archetypal attraction. That green circle you see on every cup is a spell circle, a summoning sigil wrapped in corporate gloss. Then there's Pepsi. At first glance, just a red, white, and blue circle. But hidden within its geometry is the yin-yang, the eternal dance of duality. Some analysts have even mapped it against sacred geometry and cosmic ratios. Coincidence? Or intentional encoding of harmony, balance, and polarity into a brand of sugary drink? Whether by accident or design, the symbol resonates with one of humanity's deepest philosophical truths. Life itself is balance, and you crave it. This is the paradox. Modern logos both reveal and conceal. They whisper ancient truths while distracting you with modern desires. They cloak timeless archetypes in disposable packaging. And because the human mind is wired to respond to symbols, you can't help but feel their pull, even if you don't consciously recognize the source. But perhaps the most dangerous illusion is this, that logos are passive images. In truth, they are active operators. They don't just sit there, they work on you. They shape your memory, condition your responses, and even influence your dreams. The subconscious does not speak in words, it speaks in symbols. And logos have become the universal alphabet of that subconscious language. Myths and misconceptions abound. Some believe logos are harmless, nothing more than branding exercises. Others dismiss claims of hidden meanings as conspiracy theories. But when you trace the lineage, from ancient sigils to medieval alchemy, from Freudian psychoanalysis to Madison Avenue, the pattern is undeniable. Logos are not accidents. They are engineered with precision, leveraging psychology, geometry, and archetypal resonance. Here's the secret most will never admit. The corporate world and the occult are not separate domains. They are two expressions of the same principle, the manipulation of perception through symbol. One wears a suit, the other wears robes. Both understand that control does not come through force, but through suggestion. Through seeding images that grow roots in the subconscious until people believe they chose freely. And so the logos multiply, glowing like modern sigils across every surface of your world. You may dismiss them. You may mock them. But your subconscious does not. It listens, remembers, it obeys. The question is, now that you've seen their hidden language, will you keep feeding them, or will you reclaim the power of symbol for yourself? Now that the veil is lifted, the real work begins, not to tear down the world, but to reinterpret it and reclaim the language of symbol for your own sovereignty. These are practical, repeatable steps you can use to neutralize corporate sigils, recover your attention, and craft intentional images that serve your life rather than sell it. First, interrupt the ritual. The most accessible technique is ritualized interruption of exposure. Choose a single category you interact with daily: coffee cups, clothing brands, social feeds. For 7 days, each time you see a familiar logo, pause and name one emotion that arises. Say the word aloud: comfort, envy, pride, hunger. Naming breaks automaticity. It brings the response into conscious light, depriving the logo of the silent, unquestioned energy it needs to run. Second, reclaim repetition by replacing it. Sigils are charged through association. If repetition built the spell, repetition can dissolve it with a new charge. Create a simple personal sigil. Take a meaningful word, liberate, awake, create. Reduce it into a geometric mark by overlapping letters until a compact glyph emerges, then refine it into a single-line symbol. For 21 mornings, place that sigil where you will see it first thing, on your mirror, phone lock screen, or tea mug. Each time you breathe with intention while looking at it, you transfer attention and life force to your own symbol. Over time, your private glyph will gather resonance, replacing the energy once stolen by corporate marks. Third, practice semiotic fasting. Just as intermittent fasting resets the body, semiotic fasting resets attention. For a weekend, deliberately remove brand exposure. Use plain clothing, uninstall apps with heavy logos, and avoid branded content. Replace the gap with curated inputs, handwritten notes, classical imagery, or natural objects. The nervous system will downscale conditioned cravings and become receptive to subtler, self-chosen symbols. Fourth, train the perceptual muscle. Study logos as if you were an archaeologist decoding ruins. Pick 5 ubiquitous marks and sketch them from memory. Then list the first 5 feelings, stories, or associations each evoked. This exercise builds meta-awareness. You begin to see how design choices, curvature, color, placement, map to feeling. When you can read the language, you stop being read. Fifth, ritualized reorientation. Borrowing from sigil work but inverting its aim, create a short morning ritual. Light a candle, focus on an intention, clarity, courage, compassion. Draw your personal sigil in the air with your finger and speak a one-sentence claim: I live by my own sigils. Repeat it until it lands in your body. Small, deliberate rituals root intention where logos previously rooted conditioning. Sixth, community codex. Symbols gain power through shared meaning. Build or join a small group that practices symbol literacy. Weekly sessions where members bring images they encountered, decode their triggers, and swap personal glyphs. Social reinforcement accelerates change. The logo's cultural immunity weakens when a community teaches different meanings. Expect resistance. The first obstacle is boredom. Logos are engineered for frictionless consumption. Your new practices feel effortful. Treat boredom like a muscle being stretched. It passes. Second is ridicule. Friends will mock your sigil exercises. This is a meter of social pressure. Keep your practice private or find allies. Third, there will be relapse. A concerted ad campaign will respin attention. When this happens, return to naming emotions and ritual replacement. The practices are cumulative and resilient. Finally, remember the ethical axis. Knowledge of symbolic power can be used to dominate or to heal. Commit to the latter. Use your reclaimed symbols to foster creativity, resilience, and authentic connection, not to manipulate others. The aim is not paranoia but sovereignty, to transform from being a passive receptacle into an active arranger of meaning. If you practice these steps, the logos around you will no longer be invisible puppeteers. They will become readable text on a page you can edit. Over months, the world will feel quieter, freer, not because the brands vanished but because your inner landscape will grow strong enough to resist them. When that happens, you will find your own images carrying the weight and beauty of true intention. In the end, every culture has lived and died by its symbols. In temples they carve them into stone. In grimoires they inscribe them with ink and blood. And in our time they have been printed on packaging, glowing across billboards and burned into the digital sky. The form has changed but the function has not. To guide the human will, to channel human attention, to make the invisible visible through sign and mark. Corporate logos are not accidents. They are not neutral. They are heirs to a lineage of symbols that once served gods, kings, and magicians. Today they serve markets, shareholders, and algorithms. They are modern sigils, charged, repeated, and worshipped in rituals we mistake for shopping, scrolling, or entertainment. The magician has been replaced by the brand strategist, but the spell remains. And yet, here lies the paradox. The same knowledge that enslaves can liberate. Once you see the spell, you are no longer under it. Once you read the symbol, you stop being written by it. Awareness is disruption. Disruption is power. This is why reclaiming symbol literacy matters. To walk through the world blind to logos is to be manipulated by them. To walk through the world awake to their nature is to reclaim choice. You can pause when they flash before you, ask what they are trying to install, and decide if you will comply. You can withdraw your life force or redirect it into your own glyphs, your own visions, your own rituals of meaning. Remember, attention is energy. Wherever you place it, you are feeding a symbol. Do not feed blindly. Choose deliberately. The soul's mission is not to be branded, but to brand reality with its own signature. You were not born to echo a corporation's identity, but to craft your own. So the next time you see a glowing apple, golden arches, or a swoosh racing across a shoe, look deeper. See it not as harmless art, but as a fragment of a spell. Ask yourself, am I the one casting it, or am I the one being cast? And if the answer unsettles you, let that discomfort ignite a vow to read symbols with clarity, to wield them with ethics, and to never again surrender your sovereignty without consent. Because in the silent war of symbols, the unconscious is the battlefield, and awareness is the sword. This is the true esoteric teaching of logos as modern sigils. Not merely that they manipulate, but that you can awaken. Not merely that they bind, but that you can unbind. Not merely that they steal, but that you can reclaim. The spell breaks the moment you see it. Now, what will you do with that vision?